Welcome to Expanding Access, a podcast by Behavioral Health Tech, where we explore the cutting edge of mental health, substance use, and autism and IDD care. Each episode features insightful conversations with industry leaders who are driving real change through technology and innovation. Whether you're a provider, payer, or just passionate about expanding access to behavioral health care, you won't want to miss these stories. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone. My name is Solome Tibabu. I'm the host of the Expanding Access podcast, where we focus on all things expanding access to high-quality mental health, addiction, and IDD services through technology, health equity, and innovation. And today, we have a really special guest. I'm super grateful that Amanda could join us to cover a really important and somewhat sensitive topic that just doesn't get talked enough about, just given the prevalence. And I'm just really excited for us to dive right in. So with that, maybe we could start with you. So Amanda, I know you founded SIRA, which stands for Self-Injury, Recovery, and Awareness, with a very, shall I say, personal and purpose-driven mission. It'd be great to learn a little bit about you, what led you to create it, what gap were you hoping to fill in the mental health landscape? And I'll stop with 3 questions in a row.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here and yes, talk about a sensitive topic, non-suicidal self-injury. And just a trigger warning, if anyone's listening to this and they have personal experience, I always say, take a moment to pause, focus on your needs, even getting a drink of water, because this is a serious topic. However, I like to not make it feel heavy, even though it's a heavy topic. So hopefully we can still keep it light and informative. And so a little bit about me and how I started talking about self-injury for a living is because I engaged in self-injury for many years. I started engaging in the behavior when I was 10 years old. I started cutting and I didn't receive help until I was 23. I'm 33 now. I've been living a self-injury-free life for many years. But when I was trying to find help, it was really hard to find anyone that knew anything about the topic, even though I had a great medical support team. I had a therapist and psychiatrist since I was 13, and my parents were very supportive of my mental health journey as I dealt with a lot of mental illness. But none of them could help me with self-injury because a lot of times it's not taught in med school. And if it is, it's just a top-line overview. So when I was looking for help, I was living in New York, and I still currently live in New York. I'm originally from Texas, though, proud Texan. And I found one peer support group that just so happened to be in New York. And I was terrified to go. It wasn't an official nonprofit or anything like that, simply 5 people that talked once a week. And I was shocked by how diverse the group was. We had men in their 60s and 70s who were executives. We had engineers. We had professional dancers and musicians. And at the time, I was in fashion. So I was shocked that I had stigmatized my own tribe, so to speak. I gave in to how the media depicts someone who engages in self-injury, even though I knew that wasn't true because I didn't fit that mold. I was a cheerleader growing up in Texas. I was very involved in my community. And self-injury for me was a way to stay alive and to make sure I could make it through the day, be a leader in my community, and keep a smile on, even though I was struggling significantly with my mental health and struggling with mental illness. And from there, when I was reading our emails, going to that peer support group, I was just shocked by all of the people around the world who were reaching out to us. 1, I didn't even know how they found us. We barely had a website. And 2, I was confused why they were reaching out to us because we weren't professionals. Like I mentioned, we weren't an official organization, but we had professors from universities. We had people in prison in Australia, just really everyone seeking help. And I thought, that's really strange. There really must not be anything, even though I had trouble too. And the straw that broke the camel's back for me was when my best friend who lives in Australia and working in mental health called me one day and said, hey, we have a bunch of kids cutting and burning themselves. We don't know what to do with them. What's the name of that peer support group you go to? And I thought, I'm on the other side of the world. You work in mental health. I work in fashion. And yet I'm your only resource for this. So that's when I decided to leave the fashion world after about a decade working for various fashion houses and magazines and build SIRA. I didn't know if it was going to work or if anyone wanted it, but we started with peer support groups online and wrote our own literature. And now we're building programs as well to help people in treatment facilities. So it really long-winded story really started because I was frustrated that I couldn't find anything for myself. And then I was frustrated that no one else could find anything. And I really wanted to also bridge the gap between people that engage in the behavior and healthcare professionals, because I saw that there's a lack of trust there and education.
Wow, that's really amazing. And maybe just to take a step back and offer some clarity for listeners who might not be familiar, what exactly is non-suicidal self-injury as opposed to, say, a suicide attempt? And why is it important that people understand the distinction?
Yeah, absolutely. So non-suicidal self-injury, or NSSI, is deliberate self-directed damage of body tissue without suicidal intent. So it always goes back to intent. Is the person physically harming themselves in order to regulate their emotions? Someone engaging in self-injury, they're really going to great lengths to stay alive and survive and regulate. There are many reasons why someone may engage in self-injury, but the common denominator is they want to feel better. And when you engage in self-injury, it produces endorphins in the brain. So if someone is overwhelmed and say out of 10, after engaging in self-injury, the relief that they feel and those endorphins that are being produced is conditioning the brain to think it's something positive, because now maybe they went from a 10 to a 7 or a 5. So the brain says, oh, what we did last time after we felt overwhelmed really worked. Let's do that again. So that's why someone may engage in self-injury, and it is not the same as suicide, although there is a high correlation between people that engage in the behavior and suicidal ideation, attempts, and completion. So NSSI can be a high predictor of someone who is susceptible to suicidal ideation and attempts.
I was struck by just the diversity of the people that you had listed in that initial support group that you talked about. So this topic is not just for teen girls, let's say. Tell us a little bit more about that. Who is SIRA for? And can you share a little bit more about the communities and the individuals who are engaging with your work?
Yeah, absolutely. And exactly, it's not just teenage girls or what they would, I don't know if kids still say emo, but what back in the day when I was growing up, people would say emo, and that's not true. It's everybody. Self-injury doesn't have a face or a demographic, and SIRA is for everybody. We have adults, like I mentioned, senior citizens, and then we also have 13-year-olds, and we have various groups for certain ages because, of course, what a 30-year-old or 40-year-old is going through and their stressors in life is very different than a 15-year-old. So we have teen support groups, and then we have support groups for ages 30 and up, and then we also have support groups for ages 16 and up. So that's more of our general support group. And we have anywhere from 4 to 6 a week, and we have volunteers. We're all volunteer-led, and they host the meetings after going through trainings. And we also have a WhatsApp group, and that's just a way for us to stay connected outside of the meetings. We have members all over the world because we are on Zoom. So usually if someone reaches out because they need to talk to someone, odds are somebody's up because we're all in different time zones. So our community is a very strong and loving community. Everyone really pitches in, and we have anywhere in our meetings are anywhere from 15 to up to 35 people per meeting. Our WhatsApp group has over 170 people, and we also have a newsletter that has a little over 2,000 subscribers. And people just find us because there's a need, whether it's their therapist that reaches out, a parent, a partner, or themselves.
Speaking of individuals and friends and parents, I suspect just statistically, we've got some listeners who are exactly in the target audience that you're talking about. And could you give us a little bit of advice for maybe, say, an individual who's struggling right now with self-injuries? What's maybe one compassionate first step that you wish everyone could understand or take?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. Odds are somebody listening is either engaging, has engaged, or has a loved one that's engaged, because it's actually very high statistics of how many people engage in this behavior. Up to 25% of adolescents report engaging in self-injury, and up to anywhere 14+% of young adults. So it is very prevalent. And those are still conservative numbers due to the stigma and people not wanting to report it. And for anyone that's engaging in self-injury, I always say, have grace, have self-compassion. I think one of the top common denominators I see with people who engage in self-injury is that there's a lot of self-hatred and shame. And don't rush yourself. Self-injury didn't start overnight, and it's not going to end overnight. It's an internal, inside job, and self-injury is the physical manifestation of that inner turmoil. So always remember, it's an inside-out job, not an outside-in, meaning it's not always being hyper-focused on stopping the behavior. I think it's being hyper-focused on, why am I engaging in this behavior? What's going on with me internally? And for someone that has a loved one engaging in the behavior, I would say the same thing. It's an inside-out job. Allow them to have that process. And the best thing you could do for them is to be their cheerleader. It's okay for you not to have the answers, and for the person engaging the behavior not to have the answers either. So it takes time. And so that would be my biggest advice for both sides.
Thanks so much, Amanda. Super helpful. And the advice that you offered for caregivers, friends, family, are there any other misconceptions that you find that parents, per se, may not understand? But what are some of the most common misconceptions that you're hearing? And maybe we can debunk a little bit.
Yeah. One common one is that they're doing it for attention. Very few people do it for attention. Many people go to great lengths to hide it because it is a maladaptive coping mechanism for them. It's keeping them alive a lot of the times. I know it kept me alive because I did have multiple suicide attempts, and self-injury was a way for me to get through the day. So the attention aspect, odds are they're not doing it for attention. And I would say if they are, then let's give them the attention, because they're going to great lengths to communicate. So I wouldn't even say doing it for attention is a bad thing, although it's very rare a lot of the times. And some literature will say they're trying to communicate. And I always say that doesn't necessarily mean they're trying to communicate with somebody else. They can be trying to communicate to themselves of what they're going through is real. And I know for me, when I was engaging in cutting, it wasn't a way for me to communicate to others. It was me showing myself, what you're going through is valid, and it's painful, and it's deep. And it was a way for me to have physical proof of that for myself. So the attention aspect is a really big misconception that people have, but also it's not something to look down on either, because everyone deserves help.
That's so wonderful, Amanda. You and the SIRA team have already begun to change how people are understanding and approaching self-injury. And it's just incredible from your own personal experience. Tell us a little bit about what's next for your organization.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are really focusing on building our education and support leg. So creating a program to have in mental health treatment facilities, and then eventually for individuals to receive it as well. And with that, we had a community pilot over the summer, because for us, co-creation and people with lived experience is always the foundation of everything we create at SIRA. So we really wanted our community to test it out first before myself and my education team went to expand and iterate the program more. And the program is really based on 4 pillars: resiliency, flexible thinking, curiosity, and adaptability. And that's what we're evaluating with our pre and post surveys. Because from my own experience and listening to, at this point, thousands of people that have engaged in self-injury over the past 10 years, I've been facilitating peer support groups. I've noticed that was a common denominator, especially the flexible thinking and curiosity. And I know those aspects really helped me lead to a self-injury-free life. So that's what we're evaluating right now. And we'll do a second round of testing. And for us, this program is more about integration, focusing on the whole person, not just being hyper-focused on the behavior. Because like I mentioned, it's an inside-out job, not an outside-in. So for us, we don't talk about self-injury until the last couple weeks of the program, and this program's 6 weeks. So we really want to focus on people really understanding the parts of themselves, how to regulate, how to pick up on triggers, and how to really trust themselves and listen and understand their nervous system. So for us, it's about integration and then leading to understanding what non-suicidal self-injury is and why they gravitate towards it. And that's what we're really focused on this year and next year. And I'm really excited about it because I've been building it for 5 years. So I'm excited to finally birth it and show it to the world. And hopefully it helps some people.
Now, can I ask you, what's the role in tech in all of this?
Yeah, absolutely. For the program, we do want there to be a tech aspect of it, especially when we wanted to be global and go out to as many people and reach as many people as possible. Like I mentioned, in treatment facilities, then eventually individual and school-based. So to have a tech portion of it where it could be self-paced and have our own platform where we can have a side that helps the clinician and mental health professional, and then a side that helps the person engaging them in the behavior. So right now we're really exploring, what does that look like? How do we integrate tech into this? And what is the best way to go about it so everyone can access this eventually?
Awesome. I'm so impressed by the work that you and your team are doing. Such an important mission. Last but not least, can you tell our audience a little bit about how they can get involved or support?
Yeah, absolutely. You can go to SIRA.org and you can host meetings if you have lived experience or if you are a psychology student or therapist. You can also always donate. Right now, like I mentioned, we're building this program and we have a wonderful education team. And so we will be expanding our team to also have game designers because there is activity-based in each session, which I find people really love in crafts and journaling. So really adding more play into the program. And then also spreading the word about SIRA and having conversations. It's really about normalizing the conversation and lowering the stigma. So even just telling someone, hey, now I know what NSSI is, and now maybe I can sit down with a loved one, or if you're engaging in behavior, you can sit down with your loved ones and have the conversation. So yeah, whether you want to volunteer, you want to donate, or you want to help spread the word by having a conversation with compassion, I would say are the top 3 ways you can help SIRA and this people that are engaging in this behavior as well.
Wonderful. And I do encourage our audience to definitely go check out the website, support their amazing work. This is really critical work that's making a huge difference in the lives of so many individuals. So thank you so much, Amanda, for joining us and sharing a bit of your story.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for tuning in to Expanding Access. We hope you're feeling inspired by today's discussion. If you've enjoyed the episode, subscribe and share it with your network. For more content and opportunities to get involved in transforming care, visit behavioralhealthtech.com. Until next time, let's keep pushing boundaries and expanding access together.